Hi everyone, this is Adam. Today I am going to talk about stratum granulosum, which is also known as granular cell layer. Why this name is given? Because in the cells of the stratum granulosum there is the presence of some granules like keratohyalin granules and membrane coating granules. Let's first talk about keratohyalin granules. These keratohyalin granules synthesize profilagrin, and this profilagrin is a precursor molecule for the synthesis of filigrin. The function of the filigrin is in the name of the filigrin, filament aggregating protein. Filament aggregating protein. It means this filigrin helps in the aggregation of the keratin filaments. It has other functions as well, like skin hemostasis. Remember a point here that profilagrin is present in stratum granulosum and filigrin is present in stratum corneum. There is a condition which occurs due to deficiency of filigrin, which is known as Ichthyosis vulgaris. And this Ichthyosis vulgaris is an autosomal dominant condition. And ichthyo means fish-like scales. And vulgaris means most common. Therefore, the most common type of ichthyosis is Ichthyosis vulgaris. There is a condition which is known as pemphigus vulgaris. Therefore, we can say the most common type of pemphigus is pemphigus vulgaris. As you can see here in this image, the fish-like scales are seen, which are seen in the Ichthyosis vulgaris. Right, now let's talk about Netherton syndrome. Netherton syndrome is a very rare syndrome and it is associated with ichthyosis. That's why I am discussing it here. The clinical features which are seen in the Netherton syndrome are atopic dermatitis, and the type of ichthyosis which is seen in the Netherton syndrome is Ichthyosis linearis circumflexa and bamboo hair, which is also known as Trichorexis invaginata. As you can see here, the bamboo hair, in the shaft of the hair, nodular swellings are seen, and this is known as the bamboo hair, which is the diagnostic feature of Netherton syndrome. Now let's talk about second type of granules, which are called membrane coating granules or lamellar granules or odd-land bodies. And these granules are responsible for the synthesis of lipid. And this lipid is responsible for the protective barrier of a skin. Remember a very important point here, that these membrane coating granules are initially synthesized in stratum spinosum. Then these membrane coating granules move from stratum spinosum into stratum granulosum. Here I am going to discuss a very important fact, that these odd-land bodies are also present in type 2 alveolar cells or pneumocytes, which are present in the lungs. And in these alveolar cells, these odd-land bodies synthesize surfactant. Right, this image is taken from the electron microscopy, and as you can see here, this is the stratum granulosum and this is stratum spinosum. The structures which are depicted by green arrow are lamellar bodies, here also, and the red arrows indicate the secreted lamellar bodies. Just here, these are the secreted lamellar bodies. Therefore, these lamellar granules are secreted into stratum granulosum. Here you can see this is the barrier between stratum spinosum and stratum granulosum. Right, lamellar bodies are present in stratum granulosum. If this stratum granulosum is not in the options, you can mark stratum spinosum. Right, now let's continue with asteatotic eczema. Asteatotic eczema is due to deficiency of lipid, and it is also known as winter eczema. Why winter eczema? Because it is seen in the cold environment. This asteatotic eczema is seen in the old aged individuals because in the old age the degeneration changes are seen. One of the degeneration change is the deficiency of the lipid membranes. Whenever the lipid membranes become deficient, the skin is more prone to damage to cold and they start developing asteatotic eczema. There is a question that asteatotic eczema is due to endogenous causes or exogenous causes. The right answer is the asteatotic eczema is due to endogenous causes because in this condition the lipid membranes are deficient. That's why the right option is endogenous. In asteatotic eczema, the skin becomes dry, itchy, and cracked. Right, now let's continue with another layer of an epidermis, that is stratum lucidum. Stratum lucidum is an extra layer which is found in the epidermis of palm and sole. Palm and sole. And the stratum lucidum is also known as clear cell layer. Why? Because the stratum lucidum is a translucent. Translucency is due to a protein which is known as refractile granules of ileidin or simply ileidin protein. This ileidin protein is responsible for the translucency of stratum lucidum. Right. Now let's continue with pamphylix. Pamphylix is also known as dyshidrosis or dyshidrotic eczema. It's a type of an eczema which is seen in palm and sole. Palm and sole. In this condition, some fluid lesions are seen. These are fluid lesions over the skin of palm, and these fluid lesions are deep-seated vesicles. As we know, the vesicles are fluid lesions. On palpation of these deep-seated vesicles, they give segograin or topieca appearance. Right, now let's continue with stratum corneum. Stratum corneum is the uppermost layer of an epidermis, and in stratum corneum, dead keratinocytes are present. And these dead keratinocytes lack nucleus. When we move from stratum basale to stratum corneum, the various changes are seen, like the cells in the stratum basale are columnar. When we move towards stratum corneum, the cells become flat and the size of cells also increases. Stratum basale cells have prominent nucleus. Due to this prominent nucleus, the cells of stratum basale have high mitotic activity and high metabolic activity. Therefore, when you move from stratum basale to stratum corneum, there is the loss of nucleus. Finally, in this stratum corneum, there is the complete loss of nucleus, and these cells are totally dead cells, and these dead cells finally are sloughed off into the environment. Also, there is the loss of moisture and the cells become dehydrated when you move from stratum basale to stratum corneum. Right, now let's see the histological slide of epidermis. As you can see here, this is the junction between the epidermis and dermis, which is having some elevations and depressions. These downward depressions of epidermis are known as Rete ridges, and these upward projections of dermis are known as dermal papilla. These prominent structures which you see here in this slide are the nuclei. These all are nuclei which are prominent in stratum basale. Now let's see in this stratum corneum. As the stratum corneum is having only dead keratinocytes, this is the layer of stratum corneum, and all the dead keratinocytes are present in this layer. And finally, these dead keratinocytes are sloughed off into the environment. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Thanks.